Moje ime je Nemanja Čermirović i dolazim ispred organizacije koja se zove Growit. Bavimo se pre svega Agile implementacijom, radimo se dosta velikih klijenata, uglavnom korporacija, uglavnom finansijskih institucija, kad to kažem mislim pre svega na banke i na osiguravajuće društva, pa danas tema je agilno, pa da vidimo zapravo šta to jeste ili nije agilno. Jasmina i cijela ekipa iz Agile Humans se bavi communityjem i edukacijom u sferi, da kažem, agilnog i često su nam se klijenti preklapali i onda smo rekli, ok, nema više smisla da dolaze klijenti kod jedne pa kod druge, pa na kraju dana, da kažem, da završe i kod jednih i kod drugih. I onda smo odlučili da se nekako ispojimo, pa otuda negde ideja da Agile Humans i Growit osnuju Humane Group, gde ćemo svi nastupati, da kažem, kroz jedan brend, ali o tom potom tek to treba da se, da kažem, formalizuje i ozvaniči, da vidimo u kom pravcu kako komunikacija ide, ali eto, otuda dve prijateljske organizacije danas, pa otuda ja danas moderišem ili predstavljam naše goste. A ko je naš gost? Naš gost je Ilija Studen, jedan od osnivača jednog od najstarijih startupa i najuspešnijih kod nas, bar po mom nekom skromnom znanju. Iliju znam jako dugo. Ja takođe potičem iz jedne organizacije koja se zove PHP Srbija, koju sam osnovao pre nekih 7-8 godina. I kada je PHP Srbija kretala, prvih godina Meetupe smo imali, što je zanimljivo, više u Novom Sadu nego u Beogradu. Nekako nam je Novi Sad bio blizak grad. I onda smo tamo imali meetupe, pa je, da kažem, Active Collab ekipa jedna od prvih koja je, da kažem, i pomogla u smislu podržala neki meetup, donela piće klopu na kraju dana ili što god, da sve to izgleda drugačije. I ovako, hvala još jednom za sve te neke godine koliko se znamo. No, sad da to ostavimo po strani i sve te neke velike klijente koje imate i od Microsofta, Apple-a, Blizzarda, znam da na jednom podcastu si pričao, Ilija, da i Blizzard koristio Active Collab, ali da ne smete to da stavite ako se ne varam na sajtu.
Oni su tražili.
A oni su tražili, da.
Oni su tražili da se skloni. Oni i Texas Instruments. Od svih. Znači, kako da logoje imate na sajtu ako imate proizvod? Stavite u licencu da klijente možete identifikovati kao klijente. I oni prihvate licencu i vi možete da stavite na logo i onda kad hoćete da sklone, ako hoće da sklone, oni se jave, vi sklonite i to je to. I onda imate sve, manje više.
To se meni desilo, da, sa klijentom smo radili, velikim minimogramim klijentom, i ja stavim to na sajt i on me zove skidova sa sajta. Kako mi se skide? Pa vi ste nam reference. Da, ali nigde nismo dogovorili da naš logo sme tu da stoji, tako da jedino smijem u sales prezentaciji koja nije public da stavim njihov logo i to je to. Ali dobro, bože moj. No, to su neke druge teme. Ajde da vidimo šta mi radimo danas. Jedna interesantna tema, kaže, slicing the key to fast delivery of working software. Dosta onako reči na jednom mestu, dosta nekih podudaranja i dosta nekih stvari koje se često javljaju na tržištu, kao da li uopšte možemo da deliverimo brzo uz to i da sve to radi, a na kraju dana da koristimo neke male parčiće nekog softvera, nekog parčeta koda i da se to sve umiksa. No, šta je sve to danas i o čemu ćemo sve pričati, detaljnije će nam predstaviti Ilija. Budite slobodni da pišete komentare u chatu, da diskutujete, pa ću ja s vremena na vreme gledati chat i postavljati pitanja. A i ako ja prvi nešto ne razumem, ovdje sam došao ja malo nešto da naučim, ja ću da prekidam Iliju i da postavljam pitanja, ali neću više da davim. Prepuštam palicu, mikrofon Ilija, izvoli, dobrodošao još jednom i hvala još jednom za današnji meetup.
Hvala za poziv, pozdrav svi. Ajde samo da se prebacim na slajdove. Malo će to biti čudno zato što su na engleskom. Pa će mi trebati, ja spremano na engleskom, pa će mi trebati malo da premacujem mozak, ali dobro, to neće biti veliki problem.
Ako ti je lakše, slobodno cepaj na engleskom sve.
Nek, svoji smo. Primjer, što neći fazom, dosta primjera je bilo na srpskom, zato što mi stvari koje zapisujem, morat ćemo na engleski.
Mislim da imamo engleski sad, Ahmed se priključuje, sad ćemo da vidimo.
Okay, so we will switch to English.
Yeah.
Okay. So this talk is about slicing, about finding a quick way to deliver software and shorten feedback loops. So that is the whole point of the talk. But before I start with the slicing itself, just to add a bit of context, because in this particular case the context is important. I am no coach. So What I will be sharing are mostly things that I learned from other people or from experience while developing the product. It may not, in this particular case, like as described, may not work in your organization because your context is probably a bit different, but the principles are general. So take these examples as examples, and this is not a prescription or how to do things. This is just how we have evolved, adapted the practice over the years, and how it adapted to our environment. So so that is why the context is important. We are a small company, 40 people, doing products and products only. So product and product only. So it's a single product. It's a project management collaboration tool platform. It's been around since 2006. In June, it will turn 15. So it's quite a bit of time. If somebody told me that I will be working on a single thing for 15 years ago, I would check their temperature, ask them for help. But okay, so like fast forward 15 years, I'm still here working on the same product.
Almost grown up.
Almost, yeah, almost. Almost. It's a teen now, so it's showing all of the teen features. So fast forward to 2017. As I said, we are a software company, and we were always agile with the small, like not the capital A, but the small a. I see agile as anti-bureaucracy. So when I try to rewind in the time when Agile Manifesto was signed, and trying to figure out what all those people were signing up against, it was like bureaucratic process in software development. So these were programmers trying to build software and asking like, please let us build software. So in a sense, we were always agile, but we did not use many of the tools that are in modern agile toolkit. And in 2016 and early 2017, we had a big problem with a massive project that we were working on. We were rebuilding our back office application. And it just got out of hand. And in summer 2017, I went out shopping for ideas, ended up on a masterclass hosted by Alistair Coburn in Belgrade. And so that was the first time that I was officially introduced to slicing. Even if I came across the term before, I don't remember. So first time it was like from the man itself, Elefant Carpaccio, exercise. So it was like, and we nailed it. So we were really, really fast, and we did not get fired. If you know the exercise, if you take too much work and waste Alistair's money, you get fired in the workshop. Literally, like, okay, you are wasting my resources, you're fired. So we did not, we ended up building everything, and we survived. So that was my first time I experienced like slicing, and it clicked because I don't know why, it just clicked. It works really well, and it fits the way I see development. So in 2017, after that masterclass, we decided to go on agile transformation and brought in agile coach who helped us with transformation, and we ended up with over the period with quite a bit of different practices. So we switched from project teams to stable teams. Some of these teams have been working in the same crew for 3+ years. Focus on value was a big for us because we were always like cranking tasks, churning tasks, simply because they were tasks that had to be done. So we as programmers wanted to program and just churning the to-do list. So instead, we focused on the value is like one of the key things that we look for now. So what's the fastest way to bring something of value to customer? We started building in quality with a lot of automation, a lot of tests, trying to nail it, trying to make sure that once we build it, it is reliable. So zero bug policy. We do not manage bugs, we fix them. That's the motto. So we don't track bugs, we fix them. You report a bug, we try to fix it as soon as possible instead of tracking it. So yeah, it was, I call it like a fun cocktail of practices that we adopted since then. It restarted our development process. We are much better at delivering now than we were in 2017. People who have been using the products noticed, so that's a great thing. And one of the practices that I will be talking is slicing it. We started using it in 2017, did not call it like that, it just evolved, and eventually we found that it is a common practice by many, just did not have the name at that time. So what is slicing? As I said, pretty much all of the talk comes from experience, and I have not taught this to anyone, so except internally. So some of the definitions I did not know, then I had to borrow them from people who actually taught this to someone else. So it's mostly Neil Killick from Melbourne, I think. So when you see a definition, it's probably Neil's. It's not mine. I'm here to share stories and examples and discuss principles, but definitions are usually not mine. So what is slicing? Slicing helps us find quickest and easiest way to enable a customer to do a job and therefore extract value from our product. So it's all about finding the quickest and easiest way to help customer do what customer wants. So it's not about us building what we agree with our internal stakeholders, or it's always about finding the fastest and easiest way to deliver software to the customer. Sometimes it's not software, it's to do a job. Sometimes it's a different thing. We as a developer think that all problems should be solved with software, which is not the case always. So this is like a bit broader definition, but it usually means like finding a way to deliver software quicker and easier so they can use it, and so it can make a positive difference in their lives. Slicing can be used in all sorts of contexts. It's not just about agile. So I will keep in the header some broad terms like job, in jobs to be done terminology, or goal, business has a goal, or even a scope. Designer came with a set of screens that you have to build, and that's the scope, and that's it. Find the quickest way to build this, unagile as it can be, so as waterfall as it can be. So this technique is not about, it can be used in different contexts. What I'm hopeful is that by adopting slicing in non-agile environments, you can bring some agileness to these environments. But that's a different story, probably for a different crowd. I think that we are all here because of the agile, as we share that set of values. I'm just saying that slicing can be used even in environments where agile is not yet a common set of practices. So if we have a scope or a goal or a job that customer wants us to fulfill for them, we can start by chopping it up. But this particular approach is not really good. Because we can fall into trap of decomposition. So the whole point of this decomposition is not slicing. These are not same things, but in practice, people will frequently confuse them. Decomposition is finding parts, and these parts are not, they may be independent in a way, but they don't bring value. So I don't know how much value can you extract from a speedometer. If you find it in that pile of parts, how much value will you get if you just get a speedometer, or if you just get a spring, or if you just get a tire? While value that you can probably extract, the minimal value is somebody giving you a lift or taking you somewhere. So we are looking for something else. We are looking for smaller items that can be built in and delivered independently, while within the broader goal or scope or job. So we are trying to find the small part that we can build and deliver independently, and these these items are valuable in itself. I'm intentionally not using user stories here as a term.
My question is how that is similar to user stories. Yeah,
it's not. It can be used for user stories. It can be used for tasks. It can be used to-do items. You can call it whatever you want. Basically, it's just find a small item. And as I said, I'm trying to use terminology that it's not just for Agile. Trying to paint a picture that you can use this to help teams in different environments get that agility without Agile transformation. So slicing can be used as a practice to deliver software faster. And when companies see that software is being delivered faster, they will start to listen. So instead of trying to sell them Agile first and then go to the transformation, I think that slicing can be used to like help people deliver and develop software faster, and then other people will take notice. So that's why I think that slicing is quite a potent practice, not just in Agile world, but in broader environment. So yeah, so we are trying to find something smaller that we can build and deliver independently. So this is slicing. Every piece that we ship is useful in and by itself, unlike a tire or speedometer that makes sense only within a different system. With slices, we are delivering value, something useful in smaller increments. So while I was preparing this talk, you go into a restaurant, and the waiter comes and says, "Okay, you will have your pizza in 45 minutes." And you sit and wait, and you are super hungry, and it's like third coffee already, and you are ready to leave, and then it finally comes, and it was not that pleasant experience. Compare that to a waiter coming and saying, like, you will get a pizza cut every 5 minutes, and until 45th minutes, once you will get like 9 pizza cuts. So you are getting your meal in increments instead of all at once after prolonged period of waiting. I hope that I don't need to explain this like in business terms, why going to market earlier is better than waiting for a big batch to land. And in business, it's even more it's a bigger problem, because you spend months with a lot of work in progress, with a lot of stuff built that is not producing any economic value. Slicing is a way to deliver to market smaller increments and have them start creating value earlier and sooner. And plus, apart from economic value that you are extracting from these increments, you will also get feedback from the customers where you should be heading in the future, which can be quite valuable, especially if your big batch has a ton of hypotheses or assumptions untested. So yeah, slicing is a way to get to the market faster, and to get that feedback and to get that money from the market much sooner. So this is what we want. We want vertical slices that bring us like whole functional units that we can use, our customer can use, and that will make a positive difference in their lives, which is in turn should make a positive difference in our businesses. So when to slice? You can slice always, pretty much. There is no there is a line after which slicing stops making a lot of sense, but most people never cross that line with slicing. So it's usually they are far away from that line and have bigger chunks of work than they should. So technically, a rule of thumb, you can slice always. There are several levels. So this is Neil explains these levels. So there are several levels at which we can slice. First is capability level. Capability level is basically what we are building, who is the customer, why we are building this, what results we expect. And then in that like really big scope or goal or problem or job, we are trying to slice the smallest part of that enormous whole, smallest part that we can deliver and ship. So we are slicing something that we can ship and test. I have a recent example. So we are building a chat within a project management tool. Some of our competitors, usually they have a separate tool. Some have a built-in chat, but it's strangely implemented. So there is no single way how you should add chat to the project management tool. On the other hand, everyone has opinion about chat. So same as with religion or education, everyone knows how it should work. So there is a lot of table stakes features that we can build. It can be a massive like feature and or functionality if we were to listen to everyone, because everyone has an opinion. So instead, we looked in feedback, we looked in our concept, our context, what our customers are doing, what our business goals are, and we carved a small set that we are building now. So that is slicing on the capability level. We are simply building a way for two people to talk within project management tool. That's it. We want it to be private, we want it to be secure, and we want people to know that it is private and secure. So out of everything that we could have built with chat, we are just focusing on that thing. We will expand later on, but at this point, that is our focus. Next are functional slices. Functional slices are usually, the best way to describe them are steps or actions or stories that user will be taking. So in case of chat, one slice would be user wants to be able to find someone that a colleague that they have a question for, or so they should be able to find, if they have a question, they should be able to find that person. They should be able to start a conversation. They should be able to see when that person replies. They should be able to send a file. They should be able to search previous conversations. So these are functional slices. And finally, these are technical slices. These are the most granular slices. These are like, let's build this API. Let's increase storage limits so people can share more files. Let's make this utility code that finds the links within text and makes them clickable. So these are like technical small slices, and our teams make them during technical planning and refinement. So, and usually they are just plain technical. While we discuss features in refinement and in review, we use domain language, rarely go into technical details. This is like development teams like slicing, finding steps that they can complete in order to complete the bigger functional slice. So these are three levels. Concept slices are in problem space. You usually want to slice early and you want to go broad. You want to explore options. You want to go like really broad. What chat can be within this context? And then like daydream about that and go broad, and then narrow it down. Find that particular thing that you want to build and test, or test then build, whatever you find to work better in a particular situation. And then we have functional slices. Like these would be like user stories, but these can be sliced even further. And then these are technical slices. Slicing.
Sorry, Ilija. So these three levels you can use for other examples also, other industries, not just the development or software products, right?
Yeah. These are general purpose. These are general. Well, not general purpose. These are general. Principle is general. You can. This is the next slide. But yeah, it can be used for any type of work. So any type of problem. It's just that this particular like capability, functional and technical, is we never, for example, when we discuss, when we do slice something, we never question whether this is like capability or technical, because nobody actually cares. I'm just explaining this because just to explain that it can happen on different levels, and it does not matter where it fits, as long as it makes sense to you. So this it's just a good way to describe that it just happens on different levels, but it can be used for all sorts of things. And so this is like I like the whole idea of making things human size. I like to say that word. I like the sound of it, because we are surrounded by a big world, big problems, big viruses, big small viruses, big projects, big budgets, big financial leverages. Everything's big around us, and it's in order to cope with that complexity, we have to work on making the problems human size. And then when we make them human size, we can actually act upon them. So how to fight climate change? Slice it, make a first step, plant a tree, I don't know, check your electricity bill, see where you can cut on your carbon or whatever. So even if something is so huge, like this is like humanity's problem, we can try to slice and find ways to make a positive change. It's just the whole thing is just like make it smaller, make it actionable, make it manageable. So that's the broad perspective what slicing is. So let's find like narrow, independent bits that we can develop and deploy and ship to customers. So that's the theory. I have two examples that show how we approach slicing in our everyday work. One is a bit to make it to one example is like we overdid it. Well, I overdid it. When we were talking about this, we did not go into this many details. But I just expanded it a bit, so it's easier for someone who is not in our context, so to pick up the technique and see where it actually makes sense. A lot of these things we do intuitively now. After, as I said, we have stable teams that have been doing this for 3+ years. So we don't go through many of the steps. They are implied. People just do them intuitively and they come naturally for them. I have trouble with hiding the what? Okay, so first example is something that we did in September, October 2020. So we redesigned one of the existing pages. The page is called My Work. It shows you your tasks. It shows you your activity stream, what you have been doing. So you can find stuff. For example, I know that I posted this file like 3 hours ago. Instead of trying to find it in the project, you just find it in activity stream and open it. So it shows that type of information. It shows you your timesheet, and it did not show what we call availability records. These are like when you are days off or vacation or sick leaves. That is something that we wanted to add to this section. So we started by we had a ton of feedback from customers. We don't track bugs, we track feedback. So we had a ton of feedback. Our designers went through that feedback, had some ideas of their own how to improve this page, did some prototypes, interviewed customers, and eventually we ended up with a clickable concept like prototype, InVision prototype that we could use. And then when we had that prototype, okay, let's see what is the fastest way to deliver this. So we started slicing. It was sliced before, but it just was done in a different settings using different tools. But at this point, development team started slicing and finding the fastest way how to deliver that feature or set of features or improvement or whatever. So First thing that we did is we explored the concept and made a list of items. These are like those functional slices. Customer, and so these are source column. It says where that item came from. So collapse projects and groups, that came from the concept, and that concept came from customers. Customers wanted to hide projects and lists that they were assigned to them, but for whatever reason they could not work on them just now. Client paused the project. Company stopped working on the project because client did not pay. Whatever. Tasks remain there. Tasks were assigned. No one will go there and reassign them or whatever. They're just waiting for client to pay or for client to decide on something or whatever reason was for that project to be paused. And they just want to hide it so they don't see these tasks. So they wanted to collapse projects in groups. They wanted to us to improve grouping of tasks by date, so they can find what they should be working on today, etc. So these things came from concepts, and concepts came from feedback. Next step, once we had them written down, these are sorted. So when we were doing this, it was in a shared text document, so nothing fancy. Like it was actually called a comment. It was not even Google Docs or as people we share screen and use actually called as a whiteboard. So we just write down lists of stuff. So it was just a list of things. As people were talking, I was writing down things, and we ended up with a couple. So I don't know, 6 or 7. So next step was, okay, what are this is like all great. We have to build this stuff, or these are the slices. We don't have to build this stuff if we deploy earlier. Customers say that these are not important and something else is important. But what are technical requirements? That is frequently skipped when we estimate work. So what are dependencies, external dependencies, like business dependencies? For example, in some cases you might have to wait for another team to complete something, or for a partner to deliver an API or whatever. So these are external dependencies, or you can have like technical dependencies. Okay, we need to do this, but we need to write some components in our design system that are missing, or API that we currently have to power this page was not built for this amount of information. We need to make it faster. So stuff like that. So okay, if we are to build this today, what should we also do on technical side, and what are the dependencies? So we wrote them down, and then we wrote down risks and questions. So this was pretty obvious thing to build, and there was not that many risks involved, but there were some open questions. Do people expect to drag and drop to work on this page? Should we like merge this with another page, etc.? So these were like questions that concept did not answer, and that we just wanted to just write down, because answer to these questions might change the course of the development and delivery. So once we have written that down, as I said, we do this intuitively now. But for an exercise, if I were to teach this to someone else or help them, I would ask them to estimate business value or whatever they see as a value metric. Some will cost, sometimes it will be cost of delay, sometimes it will be business value, etc. And complexity. Like, I don't know how people estimate. We estimate in complexity points, some estimate in days, some in times, whatever. So we use complexity points, and we just write down the estimates. This can be done in pretty much any spreadsheet. No special tools required, or this can be also done on a whiteboard. So these are small. These are numbers that can be added up on a page. No software required. And then you shuffle things around. As I said, this one was I don't have the original table because it was a comment somewhere, and I did not go through to find it, and it would be in Serbian, so it would not be helpful. So this was sorted. It was not sorted like that on the first when we were working on that, and then we started sorting. What we want to see once we sort, what we want to see is graph above progressing faster than the graph below. So graph above is value. How much value is released as we go through these slices? Graph below is how much complexity these slices how much complexity is involved in these slices. We want the graph below to be as linear as possible, because that means that slices are evened out, so there are no big chunks and small chunks. They are similar in size. So if you have linearity there, it's fine. What you don't want is linearity on the graph above. Graph above should release as much value as soon as possible, and you shuffle around things until you get to high value output in shortest amount of time. And in this particular case, it was this combination. We ended up releasing this to customers. These red ones were the first release, even though rest of company expected us to deliver pretty much the whole scope. But we ended up like releasing this in 4 weeks, and like two iterations, and it was out. And then we ended up like another 4 weeks to complete all the smaller bits that we left after. And it was launched, it was released, and customers started using the updated system like in half the time. And then what also happened is that as we continued to improve that page, we sent regular updates, and customers were thrilled to see that it is being developed further and that they can comment. And so it was like releasing early and getting customers excited and involved was a great experience for everyone. They knew that okay, so new things are coming, great, I can comment, and when they comment, if what they said actually gets incorporated, that gets them even more excited. So we were in front of the customers in 4 weeks, and we were out of this particular area of work within 2.5 months. And it was great. We anticipated way more. We anticipated 3 months of work for this particular rebuild. So that's one of the ways. A simple list will do. That's for this type of work. This is like build and measure type of work. Not that much uncertainty, not that much business risk, like we would call it in Serbia, we would call it zicer. So you just build and measure. Just build it. Find the fastest way to build it and measure how it is being used, and listen for feedback, if any. So slicing can work for like this is like closest thing to fixed scope that we have. We don't have fixed scope. We can change scope whenever we want, but this is like, okay, we are building this, and there is not that much risk. We don't expect to learn a ton of things as we are building this. We just have to build this so people can finally have their work life a bit easier. So that was that type of item. Results, that's what I was talking about now. So in 4 weeks in front of the customers, in 2.5 months, we were out of this section, and we have no further requests, like really small amounts. So we covered 90% of needs that were expressed over the months and years. Example number 2. So I'm returning to chat, something that we are building now. In that case,
maybe we can ask guys. Maybe they have questions for the example number 1. Okay.
If anyone has questions, I have trouble with this. So,
okay, which we will continue then questions at the end of the meetup.
Okay, So example number 2, something that a simple list can't help with. This was the first user story mapping. This was the output of the first user story mapping for chat. Even with even as like we narrow down the scope of what we want to achieve with chat in the first couple of iterations, not iterations like 2-week iterations, but bigger chunks of work. Even after narrowing it down, it's just a ton of work, ton of small interactions, because expectations are high. This is like example from software business, like navigation systems. Super expensive to build, super expensive to maintain. Nobody has respect towards, like, customers don't respect navigation system. Like, they expect them to work. They will swear at the screen when it takes them to the wrong road, and they expect them to be free. So extremely high complexity, extremely big investment in something that people expect to just work and don't have a lot of respect when it does. It just, oh, okay, I expect that you take me from A to B in the shortest, within the shortest possible route, and with the least amount, within the least amount of time. So yeah, there are several types of software products that are like that. They are not easy to build. I'm not saying that chat is like that, not even close as navigation system. It's just that people expect them to work, and they just don't care how much complexity is behind them. They have high expectations. It just has to work. It has to be stable. It has to have, like, minimal feature set for a useful chat is mini product. So it's technically on the first, when you get out to the market and present what you've built, you have to have like 60% of features, 80% of features. So there is very little space to take shortcuts there. So as users of chat systems, through the feedback that we got, and by studying competitors, direct, indirect, we built a couple of concepts, and we ended up with a massive 4-hour. We like things to be smaller, so this was a massive storyboard for us. So we did not slice a ton. Even the slice that we did make was bigger than we wanted. As I said, this is from our context. In your companies, in your organizations, this may be like a smallest feature that you ever built. But as I said, in our context, it's just like, okay, these are like 3 to 6 months of work. So next step was to find these are just functional slices, and then steps below. And in the next meeting or two, we just try to figure out how to build something. We call it release plan. It's not a plan like we have to follow it. It's just like, if we are to find steps, how this, with the knowledge that we have today, how this should be built, and what are the key what are the milestones, and how can we get to the first users, then we try to find slices and just put them in order to get us as fast as we can to customers or users. In this particular case, we had users sooner rather than we had our own. We were the first users, so we put risks and questions first. The biggest risk that we had, well, there are three. First one, can we fit? Can we add a chat to project management app that does not suck? That does not make project management app suck. So there is always a risk when you are adding something to the existing product, because as you are adding more stuff, what you had before loses some of its value because there are other things in the way. So will this chat thing make project management part of the application? Like, slower? Will it take a lot of screen real estate and make it less space for other things, etc.? So that this was like basically, can we design this to work really well within the product itself? Next step was, can we build this to work reliably? Because as I said, table stakes are high. Well, basic expectations are high. So people just expect chat to work. They don't care whether, oh, I have a scaling problem. You know, they don't care. They just want it to work. So the next risk was, can we make this reliable? And the next one is whether we nail the solution. So, and for that we need customers. So we need, it's not first two things we can test ourselves. Third risk is something that we have to get customers in. And with chat, the main problem that we have with chat is that customers, what they are saying is not always how they behave. That was the particular problem with chat, because when we asked, like in 2015, we sent a survey. Do you want us to add chat to the product itself? 1/3 of the customers said no. We are content with other chats on the market. We will use a separate tool. 1/3 was about integration, like these tools. I don't care. 1/3 was I don't care. Second third was integrate with just make integration with what's already there and focus on other things. And 1/3 was, yeah, this, we are super excited. We would love to see this. Do you build a feature for 1/3 of the customer? What does the literature and practice say? No, you probably skip that. And we skipped that in 2015. If we were to send the same survey today, we would get the same results. And if we were to build chat within the app and watch whether people start using it or not, we would get a completely different results. Most of the companies would pick it up, like 50–60% within the first month, because people use chats when they are at a convenient place and where people that they want to talk with are present. So that is why we want to limit the scope to get to the first customer. That is our biggest hypothesis. Was that survey correct or not? And this is not something that we can test with prototypes. So we are trying to get to that first users and to see how many of them are picking up the chat, to get to that point as fast as we can. So we are 2.5 iterations in, so like 5 weeks. We will have it in front of customers, like customers who will be able to use it within 3 weeks. So 8 weeks for something that we did not figure out another way to test. So that is so that is release plan for chat. So it's actually, it's build and measure plan, like with contingencies. What can we do if we do not get the adoption that we expected? And as with the example with my work, you want to plot estimated value over time. As I deliver slices, how much value do I expect each slice to release? And closer you get these vertical jumps to the left side, so sooner you get to these vertical jumps, the better. Sometimes you cannot do that because there are technical dependencies, there are external dependencies. Stakeholders have some requirements that you as a PO think like, okay, this is not a priority, but a key stakeholder wants them in and you have to fight, or sometimes you have to give in or whatever. But well, there is always something that is trying to push these vertical jumps to the right, and what team has to fight for is, and figure out and fight for if they have to, is to push them as close to left as possible and get to customers as fast as possible. Because, as I said, nothing speaks as loudly as working software. Stakeholders will change their opinion or be more flexible once they have bits of software in their hands. So slicing helps there, because you can deliver smaller slices instead of waiting for a big chunk of work to be released. So that is how chat is working, how we are approaching chat, and I will show it just to demonstrate. Just a moment, just to demonstrate what the slice actually looks like in our environment, because I have working software to show here. This Meetup is, let me see, like, okay, just give me a second. This is not the fastest of the computers.
Take your time. So yeah. Guys, maybe you can prepare questions while Ilija is preparing the demo. You can put in chat, or you can prepare questions and we can discuss after the demo is done.
Just a moment. Okay.
I have a lot of questions, but let's wait for other guys.
Okay. This is not M1. This is like first Retina Air.
Oh, I have Pro, and I can feel your pain. So like the slow.
My God, why did they put this M processor in? Who approved on this? Okay, so let me see. It's working slow. That's the problem. But at least I can. Okay, so this is our project management tool. So nothing. You saw one of them. You probably know the feature set of most of them. Just okay. So this is my work as that I was showing. So these are options to collapse. We put things into tabs. It's better than it used to be. It has options to group, etc. So as I said, chat is currently work in progress. So for a work in progress feature, this is how a work in progress feature in our environment looks like. A list of people that we can whoopa. Okay. So, and it's working because it was built in slices. This is shippable. Well, we cannot ship it to customers just yet because there are a couple of things missing. We don't want our customers to get into trouble. So currently we don't have an option to for example, edit a message that you already sent. We are not comfortable to ship this to customers without option for them to edit their messages in case they misspelled something or in heat of the moment sent something that they shouldn't or whatever. So we do by slicing. You don't have to like release it after each slice, but in agile fashion you have to have like potentially releasable software. If someone was to say like go release this chat to customers or go out of business today, we would not have problem with releasing it because it works. Like it has missing features, but what was built actually works. So it has animations, it has expected functionality. I don't currently have any teams, only this one. If it's 7 p.m., so nobody is in the office, but if somebody was, I could send them a message and they could reply back. So it's a completely functional system. If we are forced to release this, we could have done that like this morning. And we would have to say to customers, okay, you cannot edit your messages. Okay, you cannot search your messages. Okay, you cannot, I don't know, attach files. But what was built, like everything works. Like each slice was built to be complete, independent, shippable, and deliverable. and it works with the rest of the system. The problem is that my computer is just really in a problem now, but to show most of the things, but I can show you slices here from the project itself. So this is team's current iterations. What we are building now are timestamps, and if we go here, eventually, okay. Oh, okay. This is more of a struggle than enjoyment. So I will stop the demo. But maybe, just maybe, this will work. No. Okay. Too many people wasting time waiting for this Mac to.
Yeah, but I think that the concept is clear.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe a question to kick off the first one. So you're using slicing like daily business, or you are deciding now this feature is for slicing? How you're deciding when to use slicing?
We use it always. When we had teams when we were trying to figure out what our capacity was, we estimated items, so in complexity points, like relative to something that everyone in the team knows how much effort and complexity that particular work was. So these are like twos, and then we estimate stuff like is this same size as that reference item, or is it half of the complexity or twice the complexity? So we have, like, if we have twos in the iteration, that's a clear sign that should probably be sliced. Once items estimated as one are fine. Iterations that have all halves, like they're just like teams just obliterate the work. Just it's like, so these are rules of thumb. And then we just do we really want like to spend like 2 hours to slice these like 5 ones into 10 halves? Or it usually does not end up in 10 halves. It ends up in 13 halves. So it's not like it's not elementary school algebra. Yeah, usually there is quite a bit of complexity there hidden, even in these ones. Sometimes we let twos get in. We never let 3. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember last time when we let 3 get into iteration. We know that twos are risky. We shoot for ones and are really happy when they're only halves. So these are just like rules of thumb. Okay, you look at the iterations. If you have like 3 twos one after another, you should slice. Too much variability there, like between the items. These 3 twos one after another is usually like 8 or 10, then like 6. It's not about the numbers. Numbers are just, as I said, they don't mean a ton. They just tell you that there is something there that you should pay attention to. So yeah, our estimates are not like nobody gets. Estimates are waste unless they help us deliver software faster. And in this case, they help us by pointing out potential problems.
Yeah, you're using estimations like conversation starter. If something is 3, okay, there is conversation there, you should slice something or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's the.
Okay, guys, questions for Ilija. Be open, be free to ask anything. Can you see that this tool, to say like that, you can use in your daily business?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hi. So we're currently developing a module that's quite complex, and one job of mine is to try and into separate sprints, slice the major task into smaller tasks. If I can't, and currently I can't make something working software available in one sprint. It might take 3 sprints to have something workable. Is that still okay? And is the goal just to get something as minimal as possible workable and out to customers and then slowly build on that? Or should I try to get something in one sprint available, if that's at all possible?
So without knowing what the module is or what industry you are in, and so yeah, this is the as I said, I'm not a consultant. I don't know how most of your businesses work, because as I said, I have my own company and this is my context. So technically you don't have to release. That's the whole point. Like there is a great difference between delivering and releasing. So that is like continuous delivery is all about. So a lot of these things, chat, that I showed you is behind the feature flag, and it will be behind the feature flag until we can bring customers in. So I hope that we will be able to do that in like 3 weeks time, based on what is currently in the pipeline and how estimates look like. But we have been delivering these slices, like in first iteration, we had something delivered. But first thing was like, make it a feature flag, like that was a slice, like make it a feature flag and deliver this. So as you saw there, it's in the lower right corner. We used to have a support chat there, support chats like intercom, or we use something called crisp. So one of the first slices was if you have this feature flag, load our chat. But if you don't have this feature flag, load support chat, so customers don't lose that feature. We decided it would be really confusing to have 2 chats within the app. So once that was one of the major risks. Will customers miss support chat within the application? Still something that we have to explore. But we had to make place. So that was the slice. So no customers was ever affected by that. But we delivered, like it was a complete thing. Without knowing what your particular problem is, but usually you can find a way to deliver, and but reserve the right not to release. So a set of practices is something that you will find under trunk-based development umbrella, because trunk-based development is a great. I'm a great admirer of the practice, and trying to get the teams to use it, and they use it most of the time. So we do not end up a day without merging today's changes into mainline, into master, or whatever they call it nowadays. So and it uses things like feature toggles or feature flagging, abstraction by branching by abstraction. Yeah, these 2 will get you a long way. So technically, find ways to deliver and reserve the right to release when you are ready. And what I found with developers is that they like to deliver, not necessarily to release. They know when that it is not yet ready. But when they can see it in production environment, even though if it's behind the feature flag, and they are the only ones that see it, they see it integrated, they see it working, they see it progressing, and it's a huge morale booster. So that's as general answer as I can give.
It makes sense. The difference between release and having something developed.
Yeah. Just make sure it's always merged. Make sure that it's always integrated. Have a ton of tests to cover your butt when so things don't go south fast. So yeah, this is like as I said, trunk-based development. You don't have to use it, but just go there and see which practices make it possible. Pick what works, and for your environment, you will be good to go.
All right, thank you.
Cool, thank you for the question. More questions? While you were talking, I was thinking like, okay, you are not delivering to end customers that are paying for using your service, your product, but you're delivering to your internal customers, right?
Oh,
so you can all of inside the Active Caller can use now this partially shipped feature inside Active Caller, right?
yeah, one of our goals was to get it to internal use, so we can stop slacking. So that's our motto: stop slacking. It was a developer jokes, and it got on. So the whole point is like, integration is hard. The more you delay integration, the more you and it's not just like integration of code. You just have to see it fit within the rest of the system. I'm saying about adding something to something existing. So one of the great, as I said, risks was, will this work? Will this make sense within the application? We had like 3 concepts, like separate app, much bigger widget, this one, chat within a page, so not like a widget. So a ton of concepts, and you're just looking at them and just, this does not make sense, or this makes more sense than this one, and then just try it out, see, like, as I said, what you see there, within like first 10 days, we knew whether this will work at this place in the app. We knew, okay, this can work, let's progress further. So that is the optionality. When you slice, each slice is an option. And the great way about options is that you can skip them, or you can delay them, or you can push them closer to work, give them higher priority. So the more smaller items you have, the more options you have, and just optimize for learning and for delivery.
If I can compare, so you're looking whole time, you're looking at the whole project, to say like that, the whole product. Your product is chat. If we are looking through user stories, first we'll build some mock-ups of the final product. Then we will put some user stories and start doing. Then we will see what is working, what is not. And here you're looking, okay, let's not go in that side. Let's not put a final design or final mock-up of the chat. Let's look at the whole chat, how that will work, and start building something and trying to see if that will work or not. Then we will go writing user stories and everything when we are sure that this is the right thing to do.
Yep. Yeah, I call that, and I got into fights with a couple of agile people. Not fights. It's like I say, like, design holistically, implement selectively. And this is something that I started saying in 2017. So it was not like, for us, a research phase is usually less expensive than development. And I want to explore options. And as a visual stakeholder, I like to see something as close to working software as possible. So, and on the other hand, like, as I said, it's like people and interactions over processes and tools. Our designers love high fidelity prototypes, and we have relatively mature design system. It's like Lego, putting things together. We are not like, we usually have all the elements. We just have to put them in different ways, and they have like sketch files with all the components, and they really design end products as throwaway prototypes. It looks like an end product, and then we show it to someone external, and they say, oh, this is a big upfront design. Like, not really, this is a prototype. And our designers are quite comfortable with throwing away because these prototypes are cheap. So we work to make these high fidelity prototypes super cheap to make. As I said, like, our sketch library has, like, I don't know, 150 ready components, and these guys have been designing within Active Caller for years, so they have all these components within fingers, and then they make a massive prototype, and then we try to figure, and it's much easier with that to get people excited about the feature than some of the wireframes or sketches. And then we selectively try to find what we will build from that. So I think that chat was like 56 screens. First concept, first like bigger concept that was not on the paper. 56 screens. Like that is like big upfront design, except that it took us like 7 days to build. So we go broad in trying to envision what that thing should be, and then there are multiple variations that we discard. With each step we discard. So really soon we discarded the option to like have it only as a separate app. As I said, our assumption that people will chat if it's convenient and it's close to them, and people that they want to talk to are there. So it has to be within the app. It cannot be a separate app that they install. So that was discarded like within like 3 hours. And next one was to have it on a separate page. That was discarded fast, and etc. etc. So we discard ideas, but our concepts end up being like almost a whole product. And then when you look at that concept that on the first day look like a whole product, and what we actually end up building, there is like 50% match. So it ends up being a different concept. Just sets the direction, and then we, through slices and delivery and talks with customers, then we find what we actually want to build and what we actually want to ship and sell.
You're starting at one point, diverging, and then converging to another one, maybe. Yeah, clear to me. Nina, thank you for your message and your comment. Any other questions?
I would like to say something, not to question anything that Ilija said. This was more important for some other people here, but I just want to make one comment as a regular user of Active Collab, as a client, that what we've heard today is actually, they're living their story, I must say, as I'm using their support not that frequently anymore, but as a result, just as a comparison, compared to, for example, Calendly support, Active Collab support not only teaches you, for example, I had always issues with reporting, and I couldn't get what I wanted. So not only I got how to do it, which is what I get frequently from Calendly or other sources that we use, but I got my report that I initially wanted. So there was like, here's a finished product, we are resolving it for you. Here's the report you needed. I exported it for you. I did what you wanted, but plus here's how you can do it in the future. So really big kudos to the support team of Active Collab. That's how clients like to be supported. So solve me this, provide me with my report, but also teach me. First, deliver, and then show me how. So thank you for that. Only that I wanted to share, nothing else.
Thanks. I'll make sure that they hear about this. So,
yes, please.
Public
yes,
praise.
Please. Yeah, it is, but it's a truth. It's honest to God truth, and I have proofs because you sent transcripts. So.
Yeah, we have a that will be a tough one, because that is one of those unresolved, like, as I said, you always have stakeholders and dependencies. So our support team is still to this day worried that they are losing chat within the app to support the customers. And
what do you mean?
Well, you will have to go out of it because there is no way that we have two chats. So we will click
one internal chat for internal chatting and chat for support.
Chat for support will be help section. That is the first.
Gotcha.
And we are so torn with that. We really don't know what we are doing. So we know the direction, and we need to get customers in to tell us we'll figure it out. So, but as I said, that is the whole point. Like, you always have these dependencies, and slices help you like talk about these things. Like this is a story from Creative Selection, like how Apple builds software. So if I tell you, like, let's draw a cute puppy, everyone will draw it differently. So everyone has a different vision of, even if we are talking about the same thing, we will envision it differently. So cute puppy will be different. Everyone will have a different drawing, or imagine it in a different way. So what Apple used to do when they were building like Safari and iPhone and these products is demo is the key. So like show me some software. Let's discuss now that it works. So it does not have to be a working software within the product itself. It has to be like a high fidelity prototype or some demo-ish. Let's discuss this animation. Let's discuss how keyboard is unveiled when you click on an input and stuff like that. So even when we are torn, if we were to discuss should it stay or should it go, what should we do, like, and it's still an unresolved question for us. We have a working software that we can slowly bring customers in. Feature flags help us do that. We will. Our plan is to unroll chat to like 15 accounts, or 15 to 30 accounts. That will be the first batch, and then slowly unroll it. And we will listen. And we will try to see how people use it, whether this support thing moving to a different place hurts them. How do they feel about that? What is their suggestion? Whether the alternative that we are offering is sufficient, or should we like look further into it? So yeah, that's the whole point. Like discussing working software is something that helps us resolve like these really hard questions. And if we can do that with customers early on, as early as possible, we will not have a lot of like pain in the future waiting for us. As I said, like if we were to make a massive investment, going stealth for 9 months and then delivering it all at the same time, and then just learning a whole bunch of things within 3 days post launch. So we are incrementally doing that, and that about support is one of the biggest questions that we have now. So it's kind of your comment is bittersweet. Sweet in a sense that it's a great comment, bitter because we still don't know what exactly we are going to do.
While you're talking, I have epiphany, if I can say like that. So actually, you're deteaching the MVP phrase. So your slices are actually, each slice is MVP.
To a particular extent, if we are to return to a slide, those big like boulder lines would be like MVP points. And sometimes, as I said, there are several stages when you get into slicing. So if you are at a capability stage, you are still discussing, you are still like paper prototyping, you are still like drawing stuff and discarding things that you want or not want to build, doing market research, and then based on the research. So for example, our marketing team has a big say in what gets built, because they have a high vantage point on the market. For example, when we were rebuilding something for time tracking, they said like, don't come to us if you don't have a timesheet. We cannot sell time tracking without timesheet. No matter how much stuff around you build, people want timesheets. That's it. That is what dominates the market. So people will not search. People will not find us unless we have that feature named like that. So that is something like that developers would probably not figure out on themselves. Designers would probably, maybe they would try to innovate around that. Marketing was pretty clear, like, okay, if you want to compete in this market, you have to have that feature. So when we are at that like capability area, we use marketing input, we use interviews, we use feedback that's already collected, and then trying to figure out what to do next. So technically you're slicing at different levels. And MVP, sometimes you can test there. Like sometimes you can test without building any software. Sometimes MVP is
it's a paper.
Sometimes it's within the software. So you are slicing, then you will be using slicing at functional level to see how to get to the MVP faster. So and I'm pretty strict about MVPs, and people try to put all sorts of things under that name. So slicing helps you build MVPs. That's cool. You cannot build MVPs without slicing. If you are not slicing, you are not compromising. That's not you're using M from MVP. So you have to slice. You have to peel away unnecessary complexity to get to what actually matters, and that's like initiating that learning loop.
Cool.
Build, measure, learn.
Couple of more minutes. Questions? Something that is not that much clear, or you have some specific challenge at your daily job? Nothing? Okay, Ilija, want to share something more from your side?
Well, I think I talked enough. I think that people will agree with that.
Yeah, maybe one thing what people should start doing for tomorrow morning, and one thing what should not start doing for tomorrow morning if they want to start with slicing.
I think that as I said, this came like a practice that we were practicing. So when I set out to try to explain it to someone else, I gained some new perspectives. One of the new ones was that decomposition versus slicing. We tend to fall into trap of decomposing instead of slicing. So that would be like, if you can figure out a way to make a distinction, to catch yourself when you are decomposing instead of slicing, that can help a lot, because you can end up in saying like, okay, these are perfect slices, and then they are not independent, they don't cover, so they are not vertical, they are just horizontal bits, like patches of functionality. So that was an interesting one for me, and I know that there are several places where we decomposed instead of sliced, and that showed. You cannot, for example, you cannot deploy decomposed bit. It does not bring value. It just okay, you just made the API faster. Who cares? You know, like it was a decompose, unless that API powers an existing page. So, for example, it ended up being a slice, but the one on my work, because that we made faster the API that was powering the page. But if we were to make a new API that was fast and nothing was using it, that would be decomposure. That would not be sliced, because who cares about it? Unless something is using that API, it's a technical slice that brings no value to no one yet. So that was an interesting one, and yeah.
Did Ilija froze or myself? Okay.
Yeah, and another one, you don't need any fancy tools for this. That's also but
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, this is just a pen and paper type of thing, and a couple of numbers if you want to go that way. If you don't, some teams don't want to. Yeah, I wanted to share the story, but the team that all teams estimated until we learned our capacity. Then some teams stopped estimating, and at some point they were just, okay, let's move back to estimations. We like the discussion. You know, we like when someone says 2 and I say 1. You know, like everyone was like, yeah, we know what we want to, what we are doing here. and then one member is thinking 2 and another one is thinking a half, and it never gets said, and then important conversation is missed, and then when they get to technical planning, then they fight, and then so they return to estimation, but we made it like super fast. Like people after 3 years, they just
awesome.
It's like in 3 minutes done when they agree, and when they don't agree, then that's great. We want to be there. We want them not to agree. So if it's like no estimates movement, it's great. Great respect. We had some time working without estimates, and teams that did that ended up returning to estimates because it helped them have important conversations.
Yeah, as I said, as a conversation starter.
Yep.
Cool, awesome. Anything else? Anyone?
Thanks for sticking around. People don't usually last this long.
Yeah. Okay, Ilija, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Agile Humans, for the invitation. We'll see you around, and guys can find your blog, ilijastuden.com, as if I'm correct, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's in Serbian.
Twitter also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Serbian, not in English.
Thank you, Ahmed, for listening and for joining us. Cool. Guys, thank you so much. See you next time. Have a nice day, nice evening. Bye-bye.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.